Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I have been up in Atlanta doing travel ball, and we played yesterday, and then we got rained out this morning, so we came home. I'm now drinking some of my backup reserve coffee because I ran out of coffee. And when I say backup, that means instant coffee, and it's pretty stout tasting. It's strong. It's kind of like drinking a Guinness beer. It's heavy duty, but I'm powering through it and having a cup. I wanted to start this video by letting you all know some of you may be getting these scam emails if you are a Ledger Nano S customer. They said, according to our information, some scammers are getting in touch with Ledger users through text messages and emails. Never give the 24 words of your recovery seed. Ledger will never ask for them. I want to read that last line there. Never give the 24 words of your recovery seed. Ledger will never ask for them, okay? It's important, folks. Don't ever give anybody that. You give them that, you lose your digital assets that are on your Ledger Nano S. All right. Moving forward, I wanted to, back to the William Shakespeare quote, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits, their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages, William Shakespeare. I tweeted this out today over this tweet. This guy's an attorney. He's a lawyer. He says lawyer, but not yours. He's apparently a lawyer involved in regulatory type stuff. Now, I've read a lot of his things over the course of the last few years. He always comes across as this guy that's very neutral when it comes to Ripple. But there's only one problem, is if you really go down and you look deeply into his tweets, you will find that he has one thing for sure, and this is red flag city for me. And that is, he is a Bitcoin maxi. And so when I saw this, I went back into his old tweets because I wanted to say, just make sure if my recollection was correct. And anytime you see a Bitcoin maxi who still thinks that the first invention is the one that's going to be the one that towers over all the rest, watch out, folks. Okay? Now, I'm not saying the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. The guy's a smart guy. I've read a lot of his stuff. He's a very smart, intelligent guy. But there's a lot of intelligent people. Just look at our elections. There's a lot of intelligent people that are Democrats and that are Republicans that believe completely different things, okay, and are slanted in different directions based on those beliefs. On both sides, they're smart, but they, for whatever reason, have a different philosophy. So when I saw this, he says, Ripple was once a darling of Silicon Valley and raised tons of capital from U.S. investors. It's pretty shocking to see them consider fleeing the country now. Fleeing the country, that's also a red flag because that implies that they're up to something nefarious, and I don't like that. This isn't a move any company takes lightly. I wonder what this says about the state of their relationship with the SEC. So the way he words this, it's like he's trying to plant this seed of this nefarious illicit activity and, that there's something going on. Well, folks, all the world's a stage. We've always had Bitcoin maxis. We've always had people that are pro-Ripple. This guy is a Bitcoin maxi, and don't take my word for it. Take his word for it. That's unfortunate and unhelpful. Many of us were and still are. This is from August 14th, 2020, by the way. Many of us were and still are Bitcoiners, myself included. I don't support anyone in DeFi attacking Bitcoin or its users, seeing as I am one. All right. So this kind of tells you, once you understand that someone's a Bitcoin guy, it's like they're almost predisposed to hate anything Ripple and XRP, even if most of the time they don't show their disdain for it. But let me go back to what the point I've been making is. I don't think it makes all this Ripple moving stuff. To me, it's all a bunch of bunk. I don't think it makes any sense. I think that all the world's a stage, folks. I'll beat my table. I think all the world's a stage. And I'm going to have some more coffee here. So my question is this. If Ripple already has offices all over the world, what's the need to move? And even if you were going to move, why announce it? Why make a big issue out of it unless there's political things in play? Why would you say it? If I thought that, why would I put a target on my back is really my question. If I had a problem with some regulatory body, am I going to announce that I have an issue and therefore I'm about to leave the country? Or am I just going to change the paperwork? Because look, let's face it, Ripple already has a London office. You're looking at it. This is Ripple's London office. So if Ripple wants to move to London, or all that is a paperwork change, more or less. But why make a huge public issue of it? This is the thing. This is the reason and it's not just a London office. They have a London office. This is an old tweet from Jack the Ripper. Ripple begins 2020 with 49 job openings in the U.S., UK, Brazil, Japan, Singapore, Dubai, and India. And then there's this. This is from back in September 2019. Enjoying anniversary celebrations from New York to London to Singapore to Dubai. These are actual pictures of people in all of the different offices across the world. Okay? And so then there's this. This is from Ripple's website right now. If you go there right now, ripple.com, you will find this. We've got offices in nine offices around the world. We are truly an international company and growing quickly. See open fintech jobs with us in your region. Dubai, New York, Sao Paulo. I think I'm saying that right. London, Reykjavik, Iceland. I don't know if I said that right. Singapore, Mumbai, San Francisco, Washington, D.C. So why do you have to move to London or anywhere else? And they don't have Japan on here, but they've got SBI Ripple Japan, right? Did I say, is that the name of it? SBI, no, it's SBI Ripple Asia. I'm sorry. SBI Ripple Asia, which I'm assuming is out of Japan. Okay. So anyway, they're all over the place. So the question I keep getting back to is, why make this big issue out of it publicly? If you want to move, just move if it's really in your best. And the other question I have is kind of a point that attorney brought up. And that is, what does that change? Let's say Ripple let's say that regulations in London right now are favorable to XRP and Ripple moves to London. Well, if they ever want to do, but the office that they have in London, my understanding of how this works, the office that they have in London right now is having to operate under the laws of the UK, just like the office, anything they're doing with XRP in the United States has to be run by the laws of the United States. And so I don't understand what's accomplished by moving. I would think since you're a global company, you would want to have a few locations in the U.S. maybe, like you do now. You got one in London. You got them all over the world. It just seems like political theater to me. Sorry, folks. And maybe I'm not supposed to think that way, but sorry, that's the way I see it. And I'm also, XRP Boy also reminds us, remember, don't ever forget, Ripple had a team of people that were from the Federal Reserve as far back as 2012 or 13 that were on the ground working on this, working with regulators around the world, including the United States. This one's from Canada, Greg Kidd.
On that same note, the Ripple, the software, the technology per se, is so convincing, but as we all know, a lot of things don't happen. What is it that could threaten why this has not evolved to be a much more efficient way for the world to transact?
The biggest challenge is just regulation. It's just companies and governments getting together and not finding that they're comfortable with this. And so even though the technology works, they make the use of the technology either illegal or so ambiguous and uncertain that it doesn't feel safe to work with anything built on top of it.
So if I was to say that, our committee is principally meeting to debate the issue whether we should recommend basically regulation affecting cryptocurrency from your standpoint, what should we do to make sure that does not occur, what you just said? Should we implement new regulation?
Well, it doesn't need to necessarily be new regulation, but the regulation has to cover the fact that there could be a new way of moving money, which is a distributed ledger as opposed to relying on nation-based centralized ledgers. So it just needs to anticipate that there are new ways technologically to think about moving money both within a country and between countries, and that you don't have to rely on centralized ledgers run by a single actor, but you could have a decentralized solution for moving money, much the way that you have a decentralized solution for moving emails and pictures and music around on the internet. So we absolutely want regulation. We want strong regulation. The key thing is to have clarity. The biggest stopper right now is people just don't know where they stand in terms of what regulation does and does not cover. So
final question.
We just need clarity.
We need clarity. Okay. Jonathan D sent me this. I thought this was interesting. I'm not going into the article, but this tells you all you need to know. Digital currency could create value, and we should think about how to establish a new type of financial system through digital currency. And that's the billionaire co-founder of Alibaba, Jack Ma. Okay. Mark Phillips tweeted this out. JP Morgan veteran Daniel Masters explains how blockchain will end commercial banks. Now, I talked about this guy about a week ago, and I'm not going to go into this article, but I wanted to mention to you what's important here. And I've told you from day one, everything you're seeing with digital assets has everything to do with the 2008 financial crisis. This guy right here, his ex-wife is Blythe Masters. Blythe Masters is the lady that created credit default swaps for JP Morgan, which were one of the primary problems and causes of the 2008 financial crisis. She left, apparently she left JP Morgan, and eventually, now they're both, it's not a coincidence, they're both in digital assets. She went and formed digital assets for, I guess, JP Morgan, and they're all involved in everything we talk about. They know what's coming, and look, it's always been the financial crisis really exposed some of the liquidity issues in the world and some of the problems. And that's what I've always believed this was. It was accelerated. Digital assets were accelerated out of the financial crisis because they knew this was going to be the solution. All right. And then JP Morgan here, it says XRP Crypto Wolf. JP Morgan tells investors that Bitcoin is the next big thing. JP Morgan said Bitcoin faces considerable long-term upside potential due to its competition with gold as an alternative in asset and investor interest from millennials and institutions. These are the same guys who were calling it a fraud, and Jamie Dimon was saying that he would fire any of his traders that he found out had bought Bitcoin. And now that they're ready, they're all about it, and they're ready to sell it to you. Okay? Who predicted this 2 years ago? Me. All right. XRP Bart sent me this. Barry Silbert says, JP Morgan has done a complete 180 on Bitcoin. Yeah, they've done a 180 after they've spent the last few years buying it over the counter. That's what they've done. Michelle Vandenberg, if you've learned nothing else, then hopefully you've learned that the traditional financial institutions and the media that they control, they're all about head fakes. They get you to look this way or scare you away from this side while they put money in. And then they welcome you back in a couple of years later when they've got their money parked. That's what's going on. Okay, Michelle Vandenberg sent me this, another one from Barry Silbert. Fun fact, total number of acquisition offers for Grayscale, 0. They're asleep at the wheel, sucks for them. He's talking about the traditional financial players that they just aren't completely there yet. Now that surprises me that Grayscale has not had, Grayscale has all these funds that I think have outperformed just about anything on Wall Street with digital currencies in them. Fascinating. Now, before I go through this is the guys at iTrustCapital wrote this. It's an article, Parabolic Moves. Don't miss these. You got to see this. Wait till you see this. Okay, but I want to, when I'm going through this, I want you to understand a couple things. First, in the description of all my videos, There's a link if you want to go open an iTrustCapital account that you can either roll an old 401k or one of those type retirement plans into an iTrustCapital IRA, or you can just go start one. I've got a link and a 1 month free coupon where you can get a month free with them. Now, but this is why you want to do it, okay? And you want to get it going as soon as possible, because with these IRAs, it's not like going and you can go open a Coinbase account and you can get up and running relatively quickly. But if you're wanting to be able to have your XRP invested in one of these IRAs at iTrustCapital, tax-free or tax-deferred, it's a process, and it takes a while to get the account open or transfer your 401k or transfer your IRA. It takes some time. So if you haven't done it, you need to get it done because of what's written in this article. When this stuff happens, it happens fast. He says he defines parabolic move. Definition: the term parabolic move came about as trader slang. It refers to when an investment makes an upward price move that looks like the right side of a parabolic curve. A parabolic move occurs when the speed at which the investment's price goes up increases exponentially. He says, we've been here before. Bitcoin went from a low of $900 to a high of $20,000 in 2017, a considerable gain in 1 year. It's important to note that the largest part of that increase was in the 60 days leading up to the high. Bitcoin was plus 259% in 60 days. And then he shows you that. Now go down here. Bitcoin is not the only crypto to see increases of such magnitude. Ethereum went up 403% in 63 days. XRP went up 1,436% in 30 days. And then he says, take action. History favors the proactive. At iTrustCapital, we regularly hear clients panicking to get their accounts funded. They wait until the market starts to move to get started, and now are counting the gains as they are missing out on. Of course, they had started setting up their account and initiated transferring their funds sooner. They would have been able to execute trades at any time. IRAs take some time to fund, and just because the account is open and funded doesn't mean you can't wait to make your investment until you're ready. So the bottom line is, when the things are slow is the time to be setting these things up. I spent the last 2 years making sure I was set up in the right place. I've got my iTrustCapital IRA set up. I'm invested. I'm good to go. I have no worries. And the great thing about an iTrustCapital IRA, another great thing, is that if this market goes off, my Roth IRA, I can sell everything I've got into the equivalent of US dollars, okay? And I can literally pocket those returns or sell them into US dollars in that account. Let's say that XRP went up 1,000%. I can sell out of that and incur zero taxes because I've got that Roth IRA. That is a monster. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that I have a Roth IRA with iTrustCapital. And if you have an IRA or you want to open one, it's a no-brainer. If this thing goes parabolic, it will be the best decision you ever made. And that is not a joke. Thank you for listening.
Every day, billions of people around the world are mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, and embarrassed by their friends, family, and even strangers. These people go through their days knowing there are secrets being kept from them. They hear the faint whispers behind closed doors. The information and knowledge is held very close and only shared with others who were fortunate enough to find out. Feeling lost, rejected, and ostracized, these people give up, never finding out what digital assets the digital asset investor holds. But there is hope. Join the free Digital Asset Investor email newsletter and find out what digital assets he owns each month, including investments he's considering. Click the link in the description of this video or go to digitalassetinvestornewsletter.com. Put an end to your days of gloom and depression. Join the greatest free digital asset email newsletter ever created.